The sun was hot in Okoli village. Birds sang in the trees, and the smell of firewood smoke filled the air. At the edge of the village, in a small mud house with a leaking roof, lived Mama Victor and her only son, Victor. Mama Victor was a widow. Her husband died when Victor was just 2 years old. Since then, she had done everything to raise her son alone. She sowed tomatoes, washed people's clothes, and even worked on people's farms under the sun. She was known in the village as the woman who never rested. Victor was her pride. He was tall, handsome, and very smart. When he spoke, even elders listened. He came first in every exam and always brought his mother gifts from school, an extra pen, a leftover biscuit, or a clean handkerchief. He promised her, "One day, Mama, you will rest. You will wear gold and live in a house with tiles." Mama Victor would smile and wipe her eyes. "My son, you are my only joy." That year, Victor passed his WAEC and got admission into the university in Okoli. The whole village clapped for Mama Victor. People said, "Your suffering will end soon." When school resumed, Victor had no shoes, no mattress, and not enough money for food. Mama sold her wrapper and her only goat to send him off. She packed Gary in a bag, added dry okra and crayfish, and tied N500 in one corner of his box. As the bus left the village, Mama waved with her torn wrapper and cracked hands. "Go and make me proud," she said, and Victor did. 2 years passed. Victor had not come home. Mama asked the postman every market day, "Any letter from the university?" But there was nothing. She asked the motor park drivers, "Have you seen my son?" They shook their heads kindly. Still, every month, she found a way to send him a little money she made from weeding cassava farms and carrying head pounds for builders. Sometimes it was just 1,000 Nigerian nairas. Other times, only 500 Nigerian nairas. She told people, "My Victor is reading. He doesn't have time to write. But when he becomes a big man, he will return with plenty money and take me to live in the city." She waited. Then, one Christmas morning, a black car stopped in front of Mama's house. The villagers gathered quickly. "Who is that?" The door opened slowly, and there he was. Victor stepped out wearing shiny shoes and a clean white shirt. His beard was trimmed, his skin fairer. He looked like someone from the city, rich, confident, polished. The crowd clapped. Children danced. Old men nodded, but Mama just stood there, her hands shaking. "My son." She whispered. Victor walked past her and greeted the elders. He smiled at everyone, but not at her. Not once did he hug her. Not once did he say, "Mama, I missed you." He didn't enter the mud house. Instead, he went to the chairman's compound to lodge. "Mama, I'll come and see you later," he said quickly, like he was in a hurry. That night, Mama sat alone by the fire, staring at the untouched pot of soup she had made. She had used her last money to buy meat for him, but he never came. She heard music playing from the chairman's compound. She heard laughter. She heard her son's voice, full of joy, but not for her, not for the woman who sold her last wrapper, not for the hands that built his tomorrow. Her eyes filled with tears. "My son has returned," she said, "but I think he left something behind." The next day, Mama woke up before the cock crowed. She didn't sleep much, but she still went to the farm. Her back hurt, and her knees cracked with every step, but her hands stayed busy. She cleared weeds, planted cassava stems, and picked firewood. When she returned home, her wrapper was soaked with sweat and her feet were muddy. Still, she washed her face and changed into her cleanest blouse. Victor was still in the village. Maybe he would come today. Maybe he would remember her. That evening, as the sky turned orange, someone knocked. Mama's heart jumped. She rushed to the door, but it wasn't Victor. It was the village youth leader. He scratched his head and said, "Mama, your son is planning to donate new chairs to the community hall. He said he'll handle it through the chairman." Mama blinked. "He didn't tell me." The man looked surprised. "Oh, but he's been staying with the chairman all week." Mama nodded slowly. I see. That night, she walked alone to the community hall. She saw the chairs. Fine, shiny, metal chairs with donated by Victor Yu. Printed on them, the villagers clapped. Some even danced. Mama stood quietly in a corner. No one pointed at her. No one said, "That's his mother." She went home in the dark. She lit her lantern and sat on the wooden stool. She looked around the small room, the cracked mirror, the bucket with a hole. The mat that was more patched than thread. Victor had bought chairs for the village, but not one stool for the woman who gave him legs to stand. She whispered, "My son is generous. But not to me." Then she laughed, softly, bitterly, not from joy, but from something deeper, pain. The village buzzed with Victor's name, Victor the Great. Victor the Giver. Victor that studied abroad. But Mama's house remained silent. Days passed. Victor never visited again. He stayed in the chairman's compound, ate fried rice with the big men, and drove around with loud music in his car. Mama heard it all, from her mat on the floor, from her small window, from whispers in the market. Some said, "Why hasn't he built a new house for his mother?" Others said, "Maybe she was wicked to him growing up." One even said, "Maybe that's not his real mother." Mama heard everything. She didn't explain, she didn't defend herself, she just smiled, as if her ears were not working, but her chest ached each time. Then one afternoon, a small girl named Yuzo ran to Mama's house. She was panting, "Mama. Mama. They say Victor is leaving today." Mama's heart jumped. Leaving? She dropped the broom in her hand and rushed out, almost falling. She didn't bother to wash her face or change her wrapper. She ran to the motor park, the same one where she had waved him off years ago. The black car was there. The engine was running. Victor stood beside it, surrounded by men in fine clothes. Mama pushed through the crowd. "Victor." She called. He turned. His face changed when he saw her, but he didn't smile. "Mama," he said flatly. She reached him. Breathless. "You didn't come to say goodbye." Victor looked away. "I was in a hurry. I didn't want to disturb you." Mama held his hand. It was soft. Softer than hers. "I cooked your favorite. Just yam porridge. You didn't eat it." Victor pulled his hand away gently. "I'm watching my diet now." Mama's eyes trembled. "Will you come back next year?" "I'll see. I might travel." She stepped back, slowly. Victor entered the car. He didn't wave. As the car pulled away, Mama stood still, surrounded by people, but completely alone. One old man walked up to her. "He has done well." One night, the village heard a scream. It was sharp. Loud. Full of terror. People rushed out with lanterns. The scream came from Mama's compound. By the time they reached her house, she was lying on the ground outside, breathing fast, eyes wide, pointing at something in the darkness. "What happened, Mama?" She tried to speak. He was here." "Who?" they asked. Mama's lips shook. "Victor." But his face. It was not Victor's face. He came through the wall. They looked around. Nothing. No one. The people whispered among themselves, "Maybe she's sick. Or losing her mind." The nurse arrived and gave her herbs to calm her down. But Mama didn't sleep that night. She kept her lantern on. Kept her eyes on the wall. She had seen something. The next morning, her neighbor, Ijeoma, came with food. "Mama, you scared us yesterday," she said. Mama looked tired. "I saw him, Ijeoma. I swear. He was dressed in black. He stood near my door and said something strange." "What did he say?" Mama's eyes narrowed. "He said, 'Return what doesn't belong to you.' Then he disappeared." Ijeoma stared at her. "Mama. Return what?" Mama shook her head. "I don't know." But she lied. She knew exactly what it meant, that